Well, welcome. It's good to have you. And I'm really excited about your call this morning. Of course, you're going to be talking about creating a like-minded following and using Instagram to help you do that. And I think that that's going to be something that catches a lot of coaches' attention just because we're such a media or a social media-driven company. But let's jump in. Let's go back a few years first and just talk about, tell us about who Stephanie Chico is. Tell us about how you got into the business.
Okay, I will. Life before Beachbody, I'm going to go way back, really consisted of lots of travel for me, as my husband, Matt, was a professional baseball player. So we were kind of all over the place. I was a stay-at-home mom to 3 little ones under the age of 3 at the time when his baseball career ended pretty suddenly. So we were left with a lot of uncertainty. Life changed really quickly, and we kind of had to figure out what was going to come next. So, we were pretty quickly burning through our life savings just to get by, and we even had to walk away from the home we owned at the time because we just couldn't afford to pay that hefty mortgage at the time that we had taken on while he was, playing ball. So it was really scary, lots of disappointment, lots of frustration, and lots of fear going on. But the one light that I had in my life at the time had really become this challenge group that I joined. So I got started in a challenge group, kind of fell in love with the entire process that I was a part of, and, obviously had some great results with Shakeology and some of the workout programs. And when I was approached about the coaching opportunity, it just felt like it was the answer to our prayers. So that's really how I got started. Then when I became a coach, I really did take it seriously from the get-go because I realized, there was this huge opportunity for growth. I had seen my upline coach, Brandy Botts, do the same thing and build pretty quickly, and I just thought, okay, maybe I can do this too. But I also realized that I was standing in my own way in a lot of areas. I feel like I have to share one of my big turning points with all of you because I think it's really important to be honest, and I really am honest with my coaches and my team about it, that my 3rd month in the business, I did not hit Success Club. It was December, totally all the excuses in the world. My kids had been sick. It was Christmas time. Nobody wanted to work out, all of those kind of excuses, and I just didn't make it happen. I didn't hit Success Club, and I was so frustrated with myself that I just knew I had to make some changes. And looking back on that, I know a lot of coaches in this business have never missed a month in Success Club. And I think that's great, but I'm actually really thankful that I had that experience, that I failed that month, that slow December, because I was disappointed enough in myself that I knew I had to make some changes to make sure that just never happened again. So one of the first places I started was with my social media networks. I had been obviously using Facebook and Instagram for a long time, Facebook especially, that goes way back into college days, but it was a different type of network for me. I had used it just for social and, keeping in touch with friends and, of course, tons of pictures of my kids. So I kept everything super private. But what I realized when I was doing that was that I was keeping everything so private. I was actually keeping myself away from people and missing opportunities to help them. So as a result of that, I just noticed that my business and my income weren't growing the way that I wanted them to and really the way that I needed them to. I had this family of 5 to support. My husband didn't have a job at the time, and it was just really up to me. So I was looking for any opportunity to find ways to grow and expand. And so that really brings me into the good stuff, probably what everybody really wants to hear. And I've got to say that I really did build, mainly on Facebook, and still Facebook is one of my main tools. But one of the coolest things that I've kind of figured out how to tap into is Instagram beyond Facebook.
Hey, Stephanie,
yes?
I'm going to stop you for just a second, okay? I want you to get into this, but I want to go back for just 1 second because I think there was a key point here. Sorry for jumping in, but as I look back, it's interesting. As you talked about that 1 month you missed Success Club. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, that's such a pivotal moment of truth for so many coaches to say, I missed it. And then what they do the next month is, as you started that next month again, for you, was that kind of an easy thing to say, okay, I'm back in the saddle, or I kind of lost it? Was there a decision point for you that said, hey, I got to get my butt back in the game now? Or was it like, you know what, I missed it? Did the task seem bigger to you? How did you approach that next month? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the next month was January, so it was kind of like an easy time to really take it to the next level and just make that decision. That's never going to happen again. I'm going to move past that. So I started in October. That's when I became a coach, but it really, really got started for me in January. So that January, because I had felt that, a little bit of failure for myself, I just had to kick it in a high gear and take it to the next level. So I actually set my diamond goal date for that January. I was determined to, come out of December and turn it completely around and still become a diamond coach within my 3-month window. And I think I did it in 88 days. So yes, I totally kicked it into high gear, and that was the start of it all.
I think there's such a story there. Carl at Summit. For those who are at Summit, you heard it. For those that weren't, maybe you heard it as well. But it's this piece of turning those small failures, what you do with those, into successes, and what you do with the decisions on those. And I think even though this may be a small thing, some people may miss success. Some people may miss their goal by a month. But those things can't be stoppers for you. It's like you said, okay, you know what? I recalibrated my goals. I looked at it again, and I kicked it into high gear. So I think that coaches, there's many of you I know out there right now even with Team Cup that are kind of going, man, we didn't get started like we wanted to get started. We haven't hit our goals in the first 2 weeks like we wanted to. Okay, big deal. Okay, take that, turn it into something, into a decision point to kick it into high gear like Stephanie did on, for the January one, because there's lots out there. So I'm sorry for stopping you, Stephanie, but I just think that's such a key message for coaches, turning that little bit of failure into success. So let's jump forward now to your Instagram piece.
Okay. Yeah, and that was definitely pivotal for me, and like I said, I'm really thankful for that. So from there, like I said, I was just kind of searching for, opportunities to grow, and I think, sometimes we find that once we get through that warm market in our Facebook, that's what you have to do. You have to kind of get creative and figure out, okay, how am I going to find more people, So really, that's where Instagram came into play for me. And so I want to first start out by saying that I'm not the best at Instagram, but you don't have to be the best to be good. You don't have to be a professional Instagrammer to get that return, and you don't have to have tens of thousands of followers on Instagram to have a major return in your business either. But you do need to have followers who are in your niche or your target audience. It's really just about knowing who you are and what sets you apart so you can tap into that niche market. So I wanted to give you a couple of my top Instagram tips. I hope that's okay. Number one, I feel like it's so important. I like to look at your profile as a cover photo. It's like, people are checking you out. They're going to come to your profile, and they're going to see those top couple lines. And if it's clean and it's well represented, then you're probably going to get a couple of new followers out of that. So if someone comes to your profile and sees a whole lot of everything, it's going to be way hard for them to understand what you're all about. So you really want to make sure you narrow it down with your content so it's not overwhelming. I like to say pick 3 to 5 main topics that you love talking about and really be consistent with those 3 to 5 things. I like to keep my profile looking nice and clean. So if there are a ton of words or blurry pictures, it can kind of scare people away. They don't really know what they're going to get with you. And so if they see those 3 to 5 things, whatever those 3 to 5 things are that represent you, if you like running, if you like to cook, if you have a family, then really highlight those 3 things specifically and be consistent with those 3 things so that people know what they're going to get when they come to your page. Number 2, I love the term turn your mess into a message. So I'm going to use that here. Use your mess to deliver a message. We were all given such a unique set of circumstances, features, stories, etc., and that's really what sets us apart and makes us us. So for me, that was just sharing a personal struggle with my post-baby body that helped me reach a huge chunk of people. And they really turned into loyal followers, and some of them even became customers and coaches. I really had zero idea that opening up about something that I struggled with, like post-baby weight loss journey, I know that hits home for a lot of people, hopefully listening too. I'm a mom, and so just by kind of being transparent and putting myself out there with what I struggled with, it actually brought people to me, where I was scared and I was worried about putting myself out there, but it's crazy how it kind of opened up the floodgates to people. And actually, after connecting with a few of the the people who, commented on that first picture that I ever posted of myself sharing that post-baby body, I ended up having them join our team as coaches. So it's just amazing, the connections that you can make. So don't be afraid to turn, what you struggle with and what your journey is and turn that into adding value to others and helping them. And my third point is don't wait for them to come to you. So I know a lot of you have heard about hashtags, but I'm going to pretend like some of you might not know what hashtags are. So the world of Instagram kind of revolves around these crazy things called hashtags. If you haven't heard of them, they're like these amazing little subcategories that group all of your photos into the same hashtag together. So let's say you hashtag something food. It's going to hashtag and categorize all of those pictures that have been hashtagged food all together. So you can kind of, scroll through these subcategories, and it's really amazing. So what you can do is start using hashtags that relate to you and what you're all about. So instead of using something super general like hashtag fitness, try something more specific like hashtag runner girl, for example. So there are so many that you can find that really help you narrow it down. And you can also search through your favorite hashtags, if it's clean eating or, like I said, something to do with running or yoga. You can really find people to interact with in the most non-spammy way, of course, because we don't want to spam people, right? We just want to always be sharing ourselves. And so it's not about hunting and selling to people, saying like, here's a link to click on or, hey, come join my challenge group. Definitely don't want to do that. You just want to build relationships with people, connect with them, get to know them, and you can really get those connections built strong and then also reconnect with them via email and Facebook. Find out if they're on Facebook. Find out if they have an email address. Get them from Instagram onto other, modes of communication and really majorly expand your business. And because of all of this, not only have I never missed another month in Success Club, but I've also found some of my challengers and coaches too. So there's a great return, and I hate to hear people say that Instagram and Facebook are overly saturated because there really are so many people out there who still need help, and they have never heard of Beachbody. They've never heard of what we're doing. We just have to go find them and let them know that we have something that can help them. So that's really my top 3 tips about Instagram. I could probably go on for days and days about this, but Jeff, I don't know if you want to keep me going or...
No, this is some great information. You talked a little bit about finding your niche and finding, in creating your own profile. And I love this concept, by the way. I've never heard this before, but I loved it. Turn your mess into your message. Maybe I've been living under a rock, but that's a great. I think that's such a great opportunity for people on the call to understand as well. As people always say, I don't have a story. And I think most people do have a story if they'll just look. And like you say, turning baby weight into a story that people can relate to, is so powerful. But from a traction standpoint, I'm an extremely impatient person, okay? And so I want to see results tomorrow on things. But the reality is, as you've been creating this niche profile, how long did it take you to start to gain some traction there?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I've had the same Instagram account since I started Instagram. And really, like I mentioned, it was just like baby pictures and pictures of my kids. I know a lot of people like to start fresh new Instagram accounts, and I think that's totally fine. You can still keep, your family life private. But I think for me, a lot of people have really liked to continue to see that I am a mom, because that really is part of my story. So, when I kind of switched it over and made the profile public, I think that's really when it started happening, and I started to just talk about my fitness journey and, the fact that, hey, I am starting this coaching gig and I'm certainly not where I want to be. I still have a ways to go, but if people want to join me, then that'd be awesome because I'd love the company. So that's really how it got started for me. And as soon as I started taking it seriously, I think that's really when it turned around. It's just as soon as you decide to turn it into a business instead of just kind of a hobby type of thing, when you decide to clean it up and you decide to make your profile look really presentable, and that's when people want to follow you because you look like you really believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I guess a pitch for Eric Worre's GoPro, but again, the one concept that I love from his book is this concept of making a decision to treat this like a profession. And if you make that decision to treat it like a profession, then you'll get serious about what you post and how you post and how you look, because that's what a professional would look like. If you just want to be a hobbyist and kind of dabble, then those are the kind of results you'll get. So if this is an area where you're serious about, then like you said, Stephanie, you'll make a serious go at this, clean it up, make it look presentable. Along the way, just a couple more questions and we'll wrap up. But I know that as you've done this, you have executed and done everything absolutely perfectly, right?
No, not even close.
Not even close. Are there any kind of glaring things that you thought, wow, I really missed that one, or any kind of, guys, don't do this because this is a mistake, this is something that I learned that just didn't help me in my pursuit? Can you think of anything that you'd say, guys, don't do this?
Well, I mean, I personally just try and stay away from, and I stay away from it because I've done it and it kind of failed with flying colors, just posting anything that's super, no offense to Beachbody because I love Beachbody, but posting anything super stock photo-ish, something that just doesn't look like you. If it looks like it comes from corporate, then people tend to scroll right over that. You want to make it you. And those times in the very beginning when I was just posting, this is for sale, hey, follow my link, nobody did it. And so I learned pretty quickly that was a big fat fail, and I couldn't do that anymore. So as soon as you start putting yourself into the business and yourself out there, I think that that's the beauty of Instagram. People can really identify with different people because you're putting yourself out there. It's instant. It's an instant picture. And so if you're making it you, people are going to want to follow you. They're not going to want to follow, everybody loves Chalene Johnson, but if you're just posting pictures of Chalene Johnson, what sets you apart?
Yeah, no, so the reality is people, I think it's an excellent point, because people are forming a relationship with you. You're their connection. Yeah, they're what they're interested in, and you can be the connection between, Beachbody, but you're the one that they're going to learn to appreciate and trust and can relate to. So the minute it becomes that salesy piece, like you say, you just post some stock picture of Beachbody, this is for sale, I can get that anywhere. I don't need you necessarily. So
people don't really buy the product necessarily. They can get the product anywhere, like you just said. It's really, why do they want to buy it from you or from me?
Yeah.
So they're really going to pick the person.
Right. Well, listen, we need to wrap up here, but just as we do wrap, you've got a great story, I think, from how you came to be part of Beachbody, and it sounds like in your life, you had to dig in, and like a lot of people, life comes at people and throws some curveballs, no pun intended, in your life with being married to a professional baseball player. But tell us just a little bit about how Beachbody's changed your life and how you see it impacting you as you move forward.
Oh, how has it not changed my life? It's been a total 180 for my family and me. When I got started just 21 months ago, my husband had just taken a job out of state, and we were barely making ends meet. And like I said earlier, tapping into that life savings that we just thought was kind of always going to be there, but, it just kind of goes away pretty quickly when that's all you have to live off of. So, he was away from our kids and me. And thanks to Beachbody, he's home now and he's retired. I'm doing this full-time from the comfort of my home. Right now we're on vacation and I'm still earning an income. It just kind of blows my mind. So this business has seriously just changed everything for us, brought my family back together. And, we've been kind of gypsies over the last couple of years, and we're really looking forward to starting the building process on a home so my kids can have those roots. We had a house taken away from us once, and we're just not going to let that happen again. So we're really excited for the future. It's been amazing.
Well, that's awesome, and I think, what you just shared, just from a stability standpoint, from a choice, from a freedom perspective, spending more family time, spending more time on relationships. At the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. If you can do that, doing something that you love and appreciate, and forming great relationships with other people, it's a pretty good place to be in life.
It sure is. Yeah. So definitely.
Well, listen, Stephanie, I know that we've taken way too much time because I've looked at your picture on the lake. You don't even want to know how jealous I am right now. It looks like the little lake that we go to.
Awful.
So You go, as I would say, suck the marrow. Enjoy that. Enjoy your family. And thank you so much for being willing to spend some time with us this morning and sharing a little bit more on Instagram and on creating a greater followership.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy. Well, coaches, some great information. And again, as I started out the call, something that's another one of those little arrows in your quiver. That you can, if you can get better at it. And I think one of the things I appreciated that Stephanie said as well is, you don't have to be an expert in this. Your strategy doesn't have to be perfect. But you know what? Execution is where it happens. It's the consistency in that. So make a decision. You're going to jump in, and you're going to get better at this, and make that a competency of yours, because that's where growth happens. That's where more doors are opened, and everyone's trying to create more exposure, more influence as to where you are in your business. Coaches, look, we're halfway through the month, and my guess is there's some of you are looking at the month and say, man, I haven't succeeded as much as I would like to succeed. And you know what? Resistance will always creep in when you've got goals. That's just kind of a natural occurrence. And I think sometimes we are our own greatest enemy. When we set something out there, resistance starts to push, really to test what our resolve is. And as soon as you try to kick that into your fast growth, into moving your business forward, it does tend to rear its ugly head. But the best thing that you can do is to push through that, because resistance has a way of sensing when you're getting weaker. But the way to do that is to push through that and show what you're going to do. So the best thing to do to conquer the enemy, being resistance, is to meet it head on. Stretch yourself a bit more. Push for more growth in your business this week. This morning, just a quick example, and then I'll be off this call. But it was interesting. We've had a crazy weekend. We've got my boy Topher's going to be leaving for a couple of years, and we've had all of our family gather, and we're trying to just spend as much time and fill every single moment we can together as a family. So they've been long days, long nights, lots of meals, lots of dishes, all that kind of stuff from morning until evening. And this morning early at 6:15, the last thing I wanted to do was to come work out. And I've got my daughters here, and so my one daughter and I, Jordan, came over to the office and was like, we do not want to be here. It's the last thing that we want to be doing. Let's just wait until tomorrow morning, because it'll be easier tomorrow morning. We all know that tomorrow morning isn't easier. And you know what? We showed up. And I'll be honest, we may not have put everything we could have, but I think we put everything we had into that workout this morning. We did T25 or Speed 3.0. And you know what? It kind of kicked our fannies, but we showed up, and we gave some great effort. And all of a sudden tomorrow looks like, you know what? We got this. We can do this because we showed up this morning. Coaches, show up this morning. Give everything you've got. Push hard. Go lift somebody else up. Make a difference. That's what this is all about. Make this week happen. Coaches, we're in a great place in this business. We appreciate who you are. We appreciate what you do. We appreciate the effort and the passion that you bring to this business and helping people really transform their lives in a real way. So thank you, and we look forward to talking to you next week on this call. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Wake Up Call. If you know someone who missed today's call, they can check our replay line at 832-225-5065. Make it a great week, everyone.